All right, here we go, rock and roll.
Yeah. How's everyone doing out there?
How's everyone doing out there?
Hopefully everyone's doing well. Today is Monday, April 21st. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza.
Hello again. Hello again.
And we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We come to you every Monday night from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And we bring you immigration updates and we answer your questions. So we're here on Facebook Live. We also are here on TikTok. So I want to say hello to all the TikTok folks out there. Get your questions loaded up, and we will be getting to those after we go through a few things. But the sooner you get your question posted, the sooner that we'll get to it.
Yes, and I am sharing right now on Facebook. Great to see you guys here.
We operate just like immigration, first in, first out. So the sooner you file, the sooner you get done.
We try our best to do first in, first out, just like USCIS, right?
Just like USCIS, that's right. One thing I do want to warn you about, though, what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only, and entertainment purposes.
Right. We do crack a joke here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is not legal advice, okay? So please understand that what we're doing here tonight is not legal advice. If you want to have legal advice, formal legal advice, then you have to retain the services of an attorney, hopefully us, but if not us, someone, and then you can get legal advice. All righty?
All right, awesome. So I'm just sharing here.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. And one of the things that I wanted to start with tonight, we've been getting a lot of questions about traveling.
Thanks for the love, guys. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And we have been talking about knowing your rights. We've been talking about naturalizing if you have a criminal record or if you don't have a criminal record. But we also got a few questions last week about the current status with DACA, and we did not get to them because we were sort of down a whole different road. So I wanted to start out tonight by just kind of reviewing what the situation is with DACA, what's happened with DACA. I've got some notes that I made here, so I make sure that I don't miss the details. But for those of you who don't know, DACA has been with basically under ongoing litigation since 2021. And that is when a federal judge in Texas ruled that the order was that DACA was basically unlawful. And what he did at that time is he said, because it's unlawful in the way that it was created, not going to allow any more applications to be filed. If you already have it, you can continue to renew it. And so if you have DACA, you can continue to renew it, but no new cases. The case was then appealed to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals agreed that the 2012 law, and I don't want to say law because it wasn't a law, it was basically a memo that was created as an executive order. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals also ruled that it was unlawful, but also did not order any immediate change. They said, okay, look, we also will go along with the federal judge in Texas and say that if you have it, you can continue to renew it. But if you don't have it, you cannot apply now. I mean, you can apply, I should say, but they're not going to process the applications.
Right.
Okay. The case was remanded then back to the federal judge in Texas to allow the government to make some tweaks to it to see if maybe they could fix it. They tweaked it the best that they could. The judge said, not good enough. The tweaks don't get it done. Same ruling. Case got appealed again to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals again agreed and said, no, the tweaks are not enough. Don't get it done. And so they sent it back as well and said, look, where it is where it is. And that's where it is right now. So just to be clear, if you are out there and you have DACA, you want to make sure that you continue to renew your DACA.
Absolutely.
If you don't have DACA, then unfortunately, you are not going to be able to apply for it now and have it processed. All right. A couple little details. If you If your case is lapsed, but it hasn't lapsed for more than a year, you also can be eligible to have it renewed. All right. And for now, my advice, not my legal advice, I didn't say advice.
So recommendation?
For now, my recommendation
Tip.
as well, my tip would be because this is still in flux and we have a lot going on with immigration. I think that if you want to leave the country and travel with DACA, IA would not recommend it. I don't think you should do it. And if you feel like you need to do it, because you can, it's not that like it's not possible, you're allowed to. And then you can come back in, but it can get dicier now. And I would recommend that if you're going to travel and you have DACA, that you consult with an immigration lawyer
like us
before you make that decision to do it. Okay. Don't just think, oh, I have DACA and I read on the internet that I'm allowed to travel. Technically true, but I would consult with an immigration lawyer before you venture out of the United States and then try to come back in, because you may have a problem. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for that update. And I'm going to just sort of piggyback on that. With some good news about travel. So, probably over the past 3-4 weeks, we've just been talking about terrible stories about lawful permanent residents leaving, or, people having a difficult time getting into the United States, even as tourists, H-1B visa holders. You've seen all of the stories. So last week I met with someone who has DACA, and she applied for advanced parole. She was given advanced parole. It was issued to her. And she did something really bold, and that is she traveled outside of the United States right now. I mean, it was in March. She entered back into the United States, and she said that she had no issues at all with her DACA advanced parole. So that's wonderful news. Now, that's one story, and I urge you to look at comments on videos. Like I have a video. There are 134,000 views. People are talking in the comments, right? They're talking about their experiences. It's very, very helpful to take a look at that and see what everyone else's experiences are and have been, because every case is different, right? It's always going to be on a case by case basis. And our clients are coming back and telling us that, hey, look, I have DACA advanced parole, traveled out. I was stopped and stuck for an hour and a half. I was questioned for an hour and a half. So it looks like right now, so it's April 21st, this particular person came in sometime in March. It looks like right now, just based on what our clients are telling us, is that if they came in, if they're coming in with advanced parole, whether it's through DACA, whether it's an adjustment of status and they're getting the advanced parole through that, it sounds like people are getting put into secondary inspection and being questioned for hour and a half, 2 hours when coming into the United States. So John is right. You definitely need to, evaluate and just kind of go through whether you should travel or not, and kind of go through the things that we've been talking about for the past 3 weeks. And I'll briefly go over it, or maybe not briefly, but number one, do you have any criminal record history that hasn't been resolved?
That's a huge one.
That's a huge one. It's massive. We've seen people who have been lawful permanent residents for 10, 20. There's one Filipino woman who was a permanent resident for, I think, 50 years. And I know you guys are saying, well, why didn't she become a U.S. citizen? That's a really good question. But she was coming in. She has a super old embezzlement charge from 2001, and she's still detained, right? So I don't know what's going to happen to her case. I don't know the details, but she's going to need a waiver for that. If she can get one, if she has a qualifying family member. It's curious that she's still detained. So, how much was the embezzlement? So there's just a lot of things. So that's number one. Do you have a criminal record history that, one, has not been resolved, and or two, that you may have been going in and out for the past 10, 15 years, but it could still be a problem. So just because you've been going in and out of the United States with your permanent resident card, with your old and resolved criminal conviction, doesn't mean that that's going to fly coming in now. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, have you been going in and out of the United States for more than 180 days at a time, where CBP can say, hey, you look like you've abandoned your green card. So that's inquiry number 2. Are you a person who maybe has some tickets for marijuana, right? Some marijuana tickets because you smoke marijuana. Like, I would definitely not be traveling outside of the United States, because it's potentially an inadmissible offense if it can't be determined that it was less than 30 grams of marijuana, which is a couple of joints, right? People say joints still?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So marijuana cigarettes,
Mhm.
whatever the terminology is nowadays. And so these are things that you have to take a look at before you're traveling. Are you very active politically and in organizations or for causes that this administration may deem to be in support of terrorist organizations? So you have to be very careful about that. And guys, don't hate me right now, all of you who are not US citizens, but you should not be protesting. Let someone else protest. Okay, let the US citizens go out and protest. They have absolutely nothing to lose, right? If their protest and their speech turns into something that it turns into, a ruckus or violence, let the US citizens protest for now. Don't hate me. I'm not trying to ruin your life and take away your free speech, but it is a very dangerous time right now for lawful permanent residents, F1 students, non-immigrants, non-US citizens to be out there politically protesting. So I'm sorry to have to say that, but right now we need to chill, right? Because you have a lot to lose. So these are the things that you need to think about. What does your social media look like? What is your Facebook like? Should you be traveling outside the United States? These are the considerations. And the majority of people that I have spoken to and that we have spoken to, our team has spoken to, they don't have these issues, right? They don't have the political speech issues for the most part. Now, there are some things in their record, though, like a theft thing here, some unpaid fines here, some unpaid parking tickets there. You have to take a look and evaluate. So I know that people, and we've been talking about people who have not been able to enter, but that is one positive story where a DACA applicant, someone who has DACA, and she applied for advanced parole. She was very brave in going out. She's like, because now or never, right? I got to do it. I got to go see my grandma. She left. She came back in. She's totally fine. And that's one positive story. We have another positive story where we have a person who left the United States as a permanent resident with a dismissed conviction. So it's dismissed, but this person did travel outside because of our recommendation with a certified disposition of their conviction. And it was a misdemeanor conviction, not a felony or anything like that, but it was a misdemeanor conviction. It was dismissed. And so when they're looking you up, they may not see that they may not see the full disposition. So we advise this person to go with their certified disposition. They did. They actually got put into secondary inspection, and they were let go after 5 minutes, and not even any questions. They just had to look it up. And this person did not even have to take out the certified disposition. But it's better to be safe than sorry. So that's another another positive story about someone going to be coming back in after having a criminal charge that was later dismissed, and then a DACA advanced parole. And guys, look, there are the vast majority of you, right, are going to be able to come back in on your permanent residency. It's just a very touchy time right now. And we've just been telling our clients who are permanent residents, look, if you don't have to travel, then you need to maybe not travel. But if you have a clean record, and even if you don't, and something's been dismissed and it's been resolved, just double check. That's all we're saying. I know we've been talking about this for a really long time. We have people who are our clients they're permanent residents, right? We've gotten their green card a few years ago, and they're reaching out to us, and they're canceling their trips because they want to be safe. They'd rather be safe than sorry that, they're skipping weddings and they're skipping important events because they know what they've been seeing. And, we do the evaluation most of the time, like you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay traveling. And, a couple of them have said, I'm not going. It's just not going to be worth it. And they're canceling your trip. So anyway, something to think about. Definitely get an evaluation.
Yeah, be careful. Just, talk to somebody who can evaluate the situation, whether it's us or another immigration lawyer. Again, there are risks, but you don't want to get carried away, just from being in like a news loop where you start to convince yourself that, something horrible is going to happen when it probably won't, unless you have something in your record that you don't know about, or that you do know about, but you just don't know that it's a problem. But if you came to us, we would know that it's a problem. We would tell you, don't travel. You've got a trap waiting for you when you come back in. So be careful. Before we move on from DACA, I also just wanted to add, for the people that are renewing, USCIS is recommending filing those 4 to 5 months before the expiration date.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's get our first question. First couple of questions off of TikTok while you're looking at that. A lot of people are calling us guys for naturalization.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah, which is great. Like if there's any silver lining for permanent residents out there to be scared, it's that maybe you are thinking, finally, you know what? I'm actually not going to retire in my country like I've been saying for the past 20 years. I'm not going to go back to the Philippines and retire. My children are here. My grandchildren are here. And I'm probably not going to go back to the Philippines to retire like I thought I was going to. So not just the Philippines, any insert country, right? So think about applying for U.S. citizenship if you are eligible. And if you have a little something in your history and it's been resolved, don't be afraid to go talk to an immigration lawyer, guys. Just because you have something in your past, your consultation with an immigration lawyer is confidential. Anything that you say to that immigration lawyer is confidential. And to my Filipino peeps out there, right? I'm Filipino. I grew up with Filipino parents, obviously in a giant Filipino household. I know how you think. I know how you think. You are not going to ask the question because you're too scared, because it's that hidden, whatever it is. It may not even be anything. You know how many times people have delayed applying for US citizenship or even petitioning for a family member because of something that happened 15, 20 years ago. That is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And so don't be afraid to ask the question and pay a consultation fee to have your questions asked. That was one of the saddest stories I ever had, was a mom who, she got caught shoplifting, and she wasn't even charged with the shoplifting. It was just in the store. She got pulled into the security guard office, not charged with shoplifting, not charged. Are you guys hearing what I'm saying? And when this happened, she was so terrified that she delayed petitioning for her child. And it was really sad. And I'm not talking about a couple of years. I'm talking about a decade and a half. So guys, talk to an immigration attorney. It doesn't have to be us. It'd be great if it were us. It does not have to be us. A reputable immigration attorney is going to be worth the value that you're going to get out of it. All right, first question.
All right, first question. After getting the acceptance notice for WP, maybe it's flipped around. Maybe it's PW.
Provisional waiver?
I think they flipped it. After getting the acceptance notice for provisional waiver, how long before you get the card?
I don't think that's provisional waiver.
I don't think so either.
Because if it's provisional waiver, then if provisional waiver has been approved, there's just a whole nother National Visa Center processing, going to your interview abroad. I'm not sure what WP is. We do use a lot of acronyms in immigration, tons of them. That one, I mean, PW, yeah, we know what PW is, provisional waiver, but WP, I don't know what that is.
As it's 96, come back to us. Let us know.
Come back to us. What is WP? What do you help us out here?
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the next one. Anahi says, I'm a green card holder for over a year. I have a traffic ticket. How safe is it to travel internationally? We were just talking about the Anahi. So you have a green card for over a year. You have a traffic ticket.
Thanks for the gifts, Anahi, by the way.
So, probably pretty safe. But again, when you say a traffic ticket, are we talking about, did you run a stop sign and prepaid it and never went to court? Was it a reckless driving ticket where you had jail time suspended on condition of doing a driver improvement course? I don't know. If it's really just like a minor traffic ticket and you're positive that that's all you have, then I say probably pretty safe.
I got a traffic ticket.
That's a funny story.
Should we tell the funny story?
Sure.
This could be the entertainment part.
Yeah, let's not spend too much time on it.
We're not going to spend too much time.
We have so many questions.
But this just bothered me, actually, because it made me think about all the mistakes that can happen, right?
Hold on. Before you get into that story.
Okay, what does Anahi have?
I just wanted to finish that, because we were talking about it may be, even though it's minor, it may be worth it, Anahi, just to have some sort of a certified disposition just showing what it was, that it was this super minor thing, just in case it comes up. You can say, oh yeah, that was nothing. That was a stop sign. Here's the paper. Okay.
One of our dear daughters was driving, and we
have three.
We have three daughters. We're married. We're law partners. We're married. Hi guys. If
for those of you who came in late, that's right.
Yeah. So she got a traffic ticket. She was speeding. She's going 14 over, and also the registration was expired. Guys, don't drive around with expired registration. This is bad. Okay. If you don't have a driver's license and you're driving around and your car is not registered, such as one of our cars, apparently we missed registering one of our cars. It happens. It happens to all of us. That's why it's so important to be careful. So our daughter got a traffic ticket, speeding and expired tags. All right. So she comes home. She's like, I got the traffic ticket. He's like, no worries. We'll figure it out. You shouldn't be speeding. Anyway, so we look at the traffic ticket. My name is on the traffic ticket as if I were the one that was speeding. Okay.
Name, address, birth date, everything.
Driver's license number. The police officer made a mistake. The car is registered in my name, and she put all of my information, even though she took our daughter's driver's license, looked at it, put all the information of my name. And, I have to be honest, when people are like, it wasn't me, right? Like, okay, sure, it wasn't you, right? I know people are wrongly accused all the time, but this was just a mistake, right? Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. Police officers make mistakes. Law enforcement makes mistakes. Sometimes judges, when they're completing a disposition, sometimes the judge makes a mistake. You should always have a lawyer, by the way, when you're getting represented, right? Because if a judge does make a mistake, that's happened, right? You go and you go like, okay, this is incorrect. I'm going to go back in. And tell the judge because this is not correct. It's worth it, guys. But anyway, I have been wrongly accused of speeding. And now I'm in a situation, right? Like, I don't want to drive to court and drive a whole hour and a half away to go fight the speeding ticket. John wants to do it. Like, that's going to be like 4 hours of our time. I mean, we're going to have to hire somebody to take care of this. It's okay. People get wrongly accused, guys. That's just a little side note. So when you see that someone says they're wrongly accused, don't just.
I want to drive. I want to represent her. He
wants to do so badly.
I want to present alibi evidence. I have a whole plan here.
Yes, John does this kind of stuff, and I'm not did. I'm not trying to go drive to a court, and is it Smithfield? No offense, Smithfield.
It's up by Richmond somewhere.
No offense, I'm not trying to do that. All right, we are going to hire an attorney to represent me, wrongly accused. I was not driving that car and I was not speeding, and I was just like, it's fine. But the more I thought about it, the more I was just getting burned up about it. Like, I'm glad that our daughter did not get a speeding ticket, because she's young and that doesn't need to go on a record. But then I'm being wrongly accused. You guys get what I'm saying. All right, let's move on. Amber's laughing, probably laughing at us. All right, Amber says, can I file for my father who lives outside of the country? I am not a U.S. citizen. I am a green card holder. So unfortunately, lawful permanent residents cannot petition for their parents. You have to become a U.S. citizen first. So Amber, if you are eligible to become a U.S. citizen, meaning that you have spent the requisite amount of time in the United States and you're also otherwise eligible, we'd be happy to help you with naturalization. And once you get that, then you can file a petition for your father and get him over here to be with you. I think that's a wonderful goal.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that question, Amber, and the laughing emoji. Me being wrongly accused of something I did not do.
Yeah, you just got to get up
I
there.
could have.
Got to get up there, plead not guilty. Once jeopardy attaches, then we attack the case and we win.
Once jeopardy attaches. Okay, let's get on to the next question.
Okay, moving on to the next TikTok question here. Somebody wants to know what, if you know, is the processing time for an I-601 waiver?
Oh my God. Okay, we're not talking about a 601A. You're welcome, Amber. 601, I'm not sure what the 601 processing times are right now. A 601A provisional waiver is, guys, this is not a joke. It's 4 years for a 601A. 4 years right now. That's just for the waiver. So I don't know what a 601 is. It's not as long, but everyone here just kind of listen up and maybe take notes, or you don't even have to take notes. It's so easy. When you're looking for processing times, what you have to do is Google USCIS processing times. How many times have you heard this? John's like, I gotta hear this again. So Google USCIS processing times. Make sure that USCIS.gov website .gov. Don't go to any other website. And then you'll see
.com,
not
.gov,
not .ed, not just not .net, .gov,
not,
USCIS.gov.
not .org.
You'll Google it. The first thing that will come up is USCIS.gov processing times, USCIS processing times. What you do is you'll go and put the form in, the I-601, then you'll choose the service center, and then it will produce the time, how long they are taking to process that. So hopefully that helps. You want to pull up the next question?
Yeah, the next question over here from Baguettes84 is, my friend is in a temporary green card due to a K-1 visa, and she's filing for VAWA. What's the percent chance? Yeah, for those of you who are not familiar, VAWA is a Violence Against Women's Act, and it also includes, whoops.
Did my phone just die?
It did.
Dearest. Okay. We have unfortunately lost the TikTok feed, but that's okay. We're pulling it back up now. So the question was about VAWA and the percentage chance of just died.
That's
okay.
That's very unfortunate.
I think it's like, look at this.
Yeah.
This is just anyway. We'll pull that back up.
And we have an unstable connection. Is there?
And we have an unstable. Is there a storm coming
is
through?
There a hurricane?
What's happening right now? Just bear with us, guys. John's putting in the password. Okay. VAWA is Violence Against Women's Act. So the question was interesting because the person who asked the question basically said that they got their green card from the K-1 visa. So great. So they probably have their 2-year green card from the K-1 visa. And the question is,
But they're not going to hear
The
your
question,
answer.
no, that's okay. The question is, let me just do this real quick. We just got cut. Sorry, guys. Just bear with us.
Mhm.
Okay. The live was paused. All right. So sorry about that, guys, on TikTok.
Sorry, guys. We had a hurricane blew through here and knocked out all the power for a moment.
That's not true. Don't
So we
spread those
lost
rumors.
everything.
Anyway, going back to that question, the question is, what are the chances of them getting VAWA? That's super hard. Even if we knew the case in and out, it's super hard to say what's the percentage, what's the chance. It depends on the case, but with this one, particularly with not very much information, and the question itself is just a little odd to me, because if you got your green card already from the K1, you wouldn't be filing VAWA. What this person might be thinking is the person has their 2-year green card, they're getting a divorce. What's the chance that when they're divorced from it, that USCIS will issue that 10-year green card? And so the I-751, when you're filing that, there is a box there to check if there has been abuse in the relationship. And if you have great proof of that, then, obviously the chances are going to be higher of it getting approved. So hopefully they, heard that. And I would like more information, because you're getting the 2-year green card. If you already have the 2-year green card, you would not then be filing for VAWA.
Yeah, and hopefully you heard that. I don't know. We lost the connection and we lost our TikTok feed. We brought it back up and resumed it, but we have lost
questions.
The questions that were up to that point. So now we have
about
plenty
that,
of questions, but now
okay,
the early ones are gone. Sorry about that, folks. That's unfair.
It happens. Yes, we apologize. All right. And want to say hello to my dad. He does say that he watches our Facebook Live I don't know, every morning at 8 a.m. in the Philippines. So hello, Dad.
Yep. And my mom tunes in sometimes. If you're here, Mama, hello.
Hello to all of our family members.
Yeah, reach out to us. Put a comment in here, either of you, so that we know that you're there.
My dad's not going to be able to do that.
Proof that you're there.
Yeah, and if you're not, we'll be calling you and figuring out what happened. Okay, let's grab a question.
All right, so Elka 2021 want to know, so my friend's resident card expired. Can she apply for citizenship without renewing her resident card?
Yes, she can apply for citizenship without renewing her resident card. Yes, you can. And again, we're talking about an expired card that is not a 2-year card, not conditional permanent residency. I'm sure that's not conditional permanent residency. Okay, great question.
All right. Izzy wants to know, with a wet reckless in 2013, can I apply for citizenship?
What is a wet reckless?
So for those of you who don't know, a wet reckless is typically when somebody would have been charged or was charged with a DUI, but the case gets reduced to a reckless driving, but they do, as part of their sentence, they do all the exact same things that would have happened had they been convicted of the DUI, but they don't have the DUI on their record. They have reckless driving on their record. Both are class 1 misdemeanors, both involve the same things, but I think most people out there prefer their record to say reckless driving rather than DUI, just because of the stigma surrounding DUIs versus other forms of reckless driving.
Right. So it doesn't actually say wet reckless, right?
No, that's kind of a slang term, meaning, yeah, I got a DUI, I got reduced to reckless driving. Not reduced, it got changed to reckless driving, and I did all this stuff. I did the classes and I had all of it. Anyway.
So it's not a DUI.
It is not a DUI.
It is not a DUI conviction.
It is reckless driving. And for Izzy, apparently it happened in 2013, and Izzy now wants to apply for citizenship.
Really great question. Yep. We're going to talk about a couple of things here. So Izzy, let's just assume this is all Izzy has on her record. One thing that he has on his record.
That Izzy has on
that they have on their record. And this is in 2013. It is now 2025. So doing the math, that was 12 years ago. You have to be, when you're applying for US citizenship, a person of good moral character for the past 5 years. Okay. If you got your green card through your spouse, you're still married through your US citizen spouse, you can do it in 3. So this is a long time. A person of good moral character for 3 years. So this was a long time ago. So it falls outside of the good moral character period. If it was a DUI and a reckless driving, it still would not be an issue because we are outside of the good moral character period.
That's right.
And so I'm not going to even ask about, whether it was an aggravated DUI. There's no DUI here. It's a reckless driving ticket. And again, even if it was just your basic DUI where no one was hurt, you got pulled over, it still would not be an issue.
So Izzy, your next step is to
Call us. Oh, I stole your thunder.
You did. That's okay. You're welcome to steal my thunder anytime you want. 757-464-9224. We are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's where our physical office is, on the East Coast of the United States. And I always say the East Coast of the United States because we represent people all over the country, all over the world. So it doesn't really matter where you are. But if you're curious where we are physically located, that's where we are.
Yes, right. We do all initial virtual appointments through Zoom. Sometimes our clients are, I'll be talking to someone like, I'm right around the corner. Why are we talking about this? Is the way we do it. We do all Zoom appointments. So wherever you are, we can meet with you and we'll be happy to meet with you. All right, let's pull up another question on TikTok. And while John is taking a look at that, we did do some cool community things this past week. John and I talked to a church congregation. We went over knowing your rights. We had a lot of wonderful questions. And I'll tell you, if we let them ask more questions, we would have been there for 2 more hours, 2 additional hours. But it was really wonderful to go out and talk to the community and just share the information that we know in order to help the community. So that was that on Thursday? Yes, it was on Thursday night, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've been getting out there and talking because of the concerns. A couple of weeks ago, we also talked to medical students and doctors in residency who wanted to find out more. They're in a program learning Spanish to better understand and work with their Spanish-speaking clients, and they're having concerns that some of the free clinics that they have and screenings that they try to do are being poorly attended because people think that it's, maybe some sort of a trap and they don't want to show up there. So trying to give them some advice on how to approach some of these issues. So yeah, it's been good to get out there and talk to some folks. Okay. Zelaya says, I won withholding of removal, even though I had a criminal record. What can happen now?
Well, withholding of removal, I mean, it's a status that basically you're allowed to be in the United States. You're allowed to have work authorization. My understanding is the person who was accidentally sent to El Salvador had withholding of removal. I don't think you're going to fall under that category, hopefully, where this person was is basically the administration thinks this person is an MS-13 gang member, and this person had withholding of removal, I believe. And so with withholding of removal, you are allowed to be in the United States and have work authorization. Nothing should change for you. I just, as we mentioned earlier, I just wouldn't be out there protesting. I said, guys, right now, let the US citizens protest, protect yourself. It's not worth it right now. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Nothing should change.
Okay, and a question about if the immigration courts are reopening withholding for I-485.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
I mean, if somebody had an I-485 that was let's say it's based on marriage, or let's say you have a U.S. citizen child, and you're actually eligible for adjustment of status. In other, not now, yeah, we would look at it and try to get a ICE to join in a motion to terminate and to proceed with I-485, right? I don't know if I would do that right now. We do motions work with the court. We don't represent people in immigration court, but we do file motions with the court. I would, I would seriously, obviously, talk to your immigration attorney who helped you get withholding and assess that situation. I mean, we're assessing these situations all the time. Should we terminate the immigration case to pursue something else? Right now, we just don't know, especially when we have to have the cooperation of ICE in joining in on a motion, if that would be the case. So good luck with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have a lot of questions on TikTok. Nobody's stepping up tonight on Facebook.
That's okay.
No questions. I guess my mom and your dad are also not out there.
They don't have any questions. My dad's questions are like, why aren't you wearing any makeup tonight? You're on live.
Okay. I was trying to think of what my mom's question might be, but Em over here on TikTok wanted to know, let me move this a little bit. She says, if I overstayed my visa and I'm now married to a U.S. citizen, do I need to file a waiver before a green card?
Well, first you need to call us.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first thing you need to do. So congratulations on getting married. The question, this person has entered the United States with some form of visa. Let's just say it was a B1, B2. That's very common. They have now overstayed their visa. And the question is, they're now married to a U.S. citizen. Can they file for adjustment of status? Do they need to file a waiver? Generally speaking, yes, you can file for adjustment of status. Now, again, I don't know all the details of the case. I don't know, is there a criminal record? I mean, there's so many things I don't know, but let's just say it's clean. And you don't have to generally file a waiver just for the overstay, if that's what the question is. If there are other things like criminal record history, fraud, yes, a waiver may be required, but there is no waiver required just because you have overstayed your visa.
Yeah, and give us a call. This is a very common situation.
Yeah, it's right there on the board.
Common case that we see a lot of and that we've handled many, many, many times. We are celebrating our 25th law firm anniversary. This October will be our 25th year in business.
Very exciting.
Representing folks in immigration cases. And so you can imagine over the course of 25 years, we've seen a few things here and there.
Absolutely.
And Deborah Bennett here says, you've answered all my questions plus more. Thank you. So that's why she doesn't have any questions.
Thank you, Miss Deborah. She's here, but she doesn't have any questions.
Well, maybe we answered somebody else's question and that's what she was wondering. That happens a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for the love, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. My husband had an order of removal in 2004, now has a Title 8 1326.
Is that entry without, I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
Is that entry after removal? Possibly. Apologize. We don't know what that is. We don't do removal work.
Okay. And then somebody over here, yeah, folks, we don't do removal work.
We do motions work. We don't do.
Yeah, we don't. Here's a question. If you failed the citizenship test, how long do you have to wait again?
Usually a couple of months. They'll put you back on the schedule in a couple of months. So study up. You should be good to go.
Okay, Dynamite here.
It's not long. It's not like six months or anything like. I mean, it's short. It's a couple months.
Yeah, and Deborah, this is what I just That's what I suspected, that we're just covering a lot of things, a lot of common questions, frequently asked questions. A lot of people have the same questions, and so they may not be posting because they're like, oh, that's what I was wondering. Anyway, Dynamite wanted to know, same thing. We've been hearing so much of this. Can I travel outside the country on my 2-year green card? I'm sure by now, Dynamite, you've heard us talking about it. You know, up to you. If you have no criminal record, you don't have anything to be worried about, then you probably are absolutely fine.
Yep.
But if you do, then you might have some concern, and you probably should call us and have a consultation before you make that decision whether to travel or not.
Right. And with a conditional green card, right? There's an expiration date. It's you get the card is good for 2 years. In that 90-day window before your card expires, you have to file the I-751 petition in order to remove the conditions on your green card. So if let's say you're in the, you're in that 90-day window, okay, and you travel and you have not filed the I-751, or you are separated from your spouse, or you're divorced from your spouse, but you haven't filed the I-751 yet, I would be not traveling under those circumstances, right? You want to make sure that, if there's only 90 days left on your permanent resident card, that if you do go, you have already filed the I-751, and ideally you have a receipt notice back from that filing, because if you don't, they may ask you a bunch of questions about your marriage. Now, guys, spoiler alert, sometimes marriages don't last for the full 2 years, right? Couples break up after a year of being together, whatever, things happen. We all know that the divorce rate is pretty high in the United States. And, you throw two different cultures in together and stress about immigration and, life in general. Sometimes the couple's not together. So if you're no longer together with the spouse that petitioned for you, and you have a 2-year card and you're thinking about traveling outside the United States because you want to travel for whatever reason, you need to just pause for a second. Also make sure that if you guys aren't together, that you have tons of documentation to show that, you have been together, just in case that comes up. So just be really careful if you are if you're traveling in that 90-day window and you have not filed the I-751. It's like, oh, it's just going to be a quick trip. I'm going to file the I-751 when I get back. I mean, I do have the 90-day window. I just wouldn't do it. I would file and then go on your trip.
Okay. BD Boop says that I passed the interview last Saturday and oath taking tomorrow.
Yay. Let's all clap for BD Boop.
Congratulations.
Nice work. Nice work.
That's wonderful.
Now ask yourself when you swear in, who can you petition for, right? Petition for your siblings. It takes forever, but maybe they want to come here in, a decade or two. And I'm being serious.
Nato CD wants to know, is it true that one petty offense sentence less than 6 months does not count for good moral character?
Does not count against good moral character. Is that what we get? That is correct. One. You just get one. One. This
is called the petty offense exception. If you're convicted of something where the maximum sentence that you could have gone to jail was a year or less, and the actual sentence that you got was 6 months or less, even if it was all suspended or not, then you fall under the petty offense exception. Well, you don't fall under the exception. The conviction falls under the exception.
Right. And it's only one. So that's if you have 2 crimes of moral turpitude, you can't use the petty offense exception because you have more than one.
There are some very, very nuanced situations. We've had a couple cases through the years where there were 2 charges, but they were part of the same scheme, and they came very close together.
Right.
And in those situations, we've had to make very intricate arguments that they essentially were one, but that's not what we're doing tonight.
well, listen, but I will say that we were talking about law enforcement making mistake. USCIS makes mistakes. These are all human beings they're doing these applications, right? Everyone makes mistakes, and we have had erroneously denied naturalization applications because they didn't apply the petty offense exception. And these are people who filed their case with a theft conviction or whatever with no attorney, and their naturalization application got denied. Right. Guys, I had to charge them so much money to fix it.
Yeah, because
I mean,
we know it's coming, and we're going to be proactive, and we're going to address that so that they know right out of the gate,
right,
that this is what it was, but this is why it doesn't count against them, and they're going to look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You're right about that."
They were so stressed out. They were very happy. They actually came back on our Facebook and thanked us.
Yeah,
it's like, can you talk about how you would have hired a lawyer and you should have brought your lawyer to your interview? Like,
I think it's crazy. I mean, we're lawyers, so you might say, "Oh, of course you're saying that," but something so incredibly important as your immigration case. I'm shocked myself that as many people do it without a lawyer as do. I just am amazed by that. I can't even imagine something that important in my life and so important to me and to my family and to my career that I would just decide that that's the thing that I'm just going to wing it on my own. It's insane to me, but you know what?
To each their own.
To each their own. That's right.
And guys, if you're just joining, you may have missed that I was wrongly accused of speeding. No, I mean, I'm not saying that I was driving and I actually wasn't speeding. I'm saying I wasn't driving, but I got the ticket.
Right.
And we are hiring
a lawyer. That's a true parent. You're taking one. You're going to take the hit for your kid.
Well, it's too late. Like, it's not like he's like, okay, this is my daughter who got the ticket. Charge her, right? I mean, it's not like this is done. She's already written the ticket. Like, it's the police officers.
The accused name is you.
It's me. So
and you weren't driving. That is an absolute fact. So this will get dismissed.
I can prepay this ticket.
No.
But we are hiring a lawyer to represent in this case because I don't want a speeding ticket on my record. And I didn't do it.
She doesn't want to drive to Richmond. We could go up there and get it dismissed ourselves.
Well, I have a lawyer. John is the lawyer, but he's if you really want to do that, then we can go visit Sammy or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid to go to court. Like, what if they actually convict me?
It's not going to happen.
All right.
And if it did, we could appeal. Okay.
He wants to appeal it now.
I'm just saying. No, we're not going to.
I don't want to go, period.
So Matthew
let's go.
Matthew wants to know if having a tax debt is an issue. There's no more clarification.
Okay, well, we'll address them both, right?
We can assume a couple things, yes.
Right. So if you are a beneficiary and you're trying to get a green card, the tax debt is typically not going to be an issue. If you are a petitioner and you are doing an affidavit of support for someone, the tax debt issue may be an issue if you have not filed your taxes. It's not an issue if you have an IRS payment plan. You filed your taxes, but you have an IRS payment plan. It could be an issue if you're applying for citizenship. One of the questions is, have you ever failed to file your taxes? So the question is, have you taxes, have you filed your taxes? So if you filed your taxes and you owe money to the IRS and you are on a payment plan and you have proof of that payment plan, then you should be okay in naturalizing and applying for a U.S. citizenship. But you have to bring that documentation, and once that door is open, they could ask for all of your tax returns. And so different scenarios because you didn't mention what you're actually applying for.
All right. Hope that helps. Mine here is just queued one up for you. You're going to love this question. If you have nothing in your past, would you guys suggest applying for citizenship now or lay low?
Let's do a drum roll. Okay.
I already know the answer, by the way.
Yeah, we are getting this question a lot. People are, if you weren't here earlier, there is one silver lining of lawful permanent residents being a little bit fearful right now, and that is they are reconsidering filing for citizenship now. As well, you should. Now, if you don't know me, I am a big proponent for lawful permanent residents to file for naturalization when they are eligible, when they're eligible, when they have the time, right? You've been a permanent resident for 5 years, apply for US citizenship, right? You've been a permanent resident for 3 years and you got it through US citizen. The basically being married to a US citizen for at least 3 years, living with that US citizen, and the US citizen has been a US citizen for at least 3 years. File for citizenship. Guys, John and I have seen people in our career, which is again 25 years of owning our immigration law firm, who were permanent residents for the longest time, and bad things, right? Sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, like self-defense, right? You think you're defending yourself and you think you're defending your family. Next thing you know, you're getting deported back to your country because you pulled a gun on somebody. So please apply for US citizenship. Forget about this administration right now, right? If you are eligible, you have nothing that is going to stop you from naturalizing to become a US citizen. There is no reason to lay low. As we were saying last week, immigration is open for applications. They are still accepting applications for naturalization. Nothing is happening to them. They're like, oh, okay, this came in during the Trump administration. Let's put a big, whatever X mark on it, and let's just give this person a really, really hard time. So no, that's not happening. And if you're eligible for US citizenship, you should absolutely
do it.
apply.
True 5 years ago, it'll be true 5 years from now.
Right.
It's just what you should be doing if you can.
Right. And if, fine, I spoke with someone today who does not want to apply for US citizenship for various reasons. They are, I mean, even though they're going to probably retire here, they just don't want to. Okay. And that's
this
fine.
all presumes
That's your
that
choice.
you want to be a U.S. citizen. We get it. Some people have no interest in becoming a U.S. citizen. Just be aware that you then have risks.
Right. And so laying low is probably the worst thing you can do. Do you want to lay low for 3.5 years when you have absolutely no reason to lay low as a permanent resident? That's just what everybody is feeling right now, right? Like, I'm a permanent resident. I'm going to lay low. For what? You're a permanent resident of the United States. You're allowed to be here. You're allowed to work here. You're allowed to live here. You're allowed to travel outside the United States. You're allowed to petition for some family members. I mean, lawful permanent residents should not feel that they need to be laying low. Yet here we are. U.S. citizens feeling like they need to lay low. Lawful permanent residents feeling like they need to lay low. Do you want to do this for another 3 years? More than 3 years. It's only been like 4 months. No, you don't. And the process, if anything, is only going to get harder and longer. Right now, someone's asked how long is the process? It's 7.5 months in most areas. So you file the application, 7.5 months, you're sitting in front of an immigration officer, you're testing, the test is super easy. I don't want to take anything away. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that it's super easy. For the majority of our clients, the test is not extremely challenging. And with studying and diligence,
we really prepare you.
Well, we're not making you study. We will do that mock interview, but yeah, it just takes a little bit of work to study and learn those 100 questions. And if you're otherwise eligible, go for it. Do not lay low.
I knew you were going to get fired up about that one.
Do not lay low, guys. We have so many people that have been laying low. I don't even know what that means, but
and just even in prior administrations, and this will be true in the future, we know that one of the reasons that people don't naturalize, they want to, and they procrastinate because there's something about it that makes them nervous, because after all, their life is good. Everything is going well. They've been here for years and they're just living their best life. And every time they think about making that final step, they think, but what if something happens and goes wrong?
Yeah.
And then I'm in a bad situation. They're like, oh, you never should have had your green card in the first place, or something like that. And it scares them. It makes them nervous. I mean, I know, when the car is running great and then they say, oh, you really ought to, tune up this or that. You're thinking, well, why would I do that? It's running great right now. Why would I mess with success? But
Yeah.
you're not going to have anything to worry about, especially if you contact us and have us handle the case for you, because if there's any remote chance that there is going to be a problem, then we're going to find it and we're going to advise you about it. And then maybe you will just decide to leave it alone in that unusual circumstance.
And it could be addressed as well.
And it can be addressed as well.
And traffic tickets need to go on your application.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people
That
have a
was
traffic ticket, then they go to the interview and they say, did you have a speeding ticket in Idaho? And they're like, oh, no. I mean, they have it. They know you do. So
Denied.
Don't sit there and lie about some speeding ticket that you
Right.
had.
Right. That's a little bit, this is not related to the question. Not really. It was tangentially related, but not directly related. The bottom line is, guys, don't lay low because President Trump is in office right now. Okay. Go and file for U.S. citizenship.
Yep.
They will process your application, especially if you have a clean case. Look, there are people who we have met with and like, you should absolutely not apply for U.S. citizenship right now. Right? No. Nope. Absolutely not. You shouldn't apply for U.S. citizenship ever. Right? So we give that advice to people who consult with us. We have advised, no, you should not apply for U.S. citizenship. You will not, it'll get denied and you'll get put in deportation proceedings.
Yeah.
Do you want to deal with that right now? No, I don't want to deal with that right now. Okay, well, now is not a good time to do it. But for this person who says, yes, clean case, should I lay low? I'm so sorry that it seems like we're coming after you. It's just because we love you. Okay. We don't want you to lay low. For all the permanent residents out there who are like, oh, I'm not going to do it now. Give yourself some peace of mind and apply for U.S. citizenship and be a U.S. citizen within 7.5 to 10 months and not have to worry about any of these things. They're going to continue to go on for the next 3 years and 8 months.
Okay, here's a question: how to contact us. Our phone number is 757-464-9224. You can email us at info@gmlaw.net and reach us that way. We're out of time, but
let's grab this
I've
one.
been looking at this one question for a long time here, and it was going to be the last one. Was aloha attorney. I'm from Hawaii. I'm a U.S. citizen. This is Chelly. I filed for my parents' petition last year in July.
Awesome.
How long is the process? Thanks.
I want to get the fiance from Japan too. So the process is going to take a couple of years. So the I-130 petition itself is taking about 14 to 16 months, and then your case will then get transferred to the National Visa Center, which it takes about 30 to 45 days for USCIS to transfer that to the National Visa Center, and then it could be a couple of months depending on how quickly you can upload your documents and become documentary qualified with NVC. And depending on what country you're from, then they will schedule that interview. And how quickly your parents' interview will be depends on how backlogged the U.S. Embassy is in getting interviews in. But it's typically a couple of years, 2+ years. So be patient. And 2+ years is actually really not that long of a period of time. And I can say that because our office has been representing people for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask me in year 5 if I would be here, who knew? Like, we'd still be here. I mean, you just never know. And we're happy to be here and continue to help people realize their immigration dreams and bring their family here. So good job on filing that petition for your parents. So
okay.
User 196, my fiance is
that.
from Japan, but wants to come here and marry me. That's awesome. Congratulations. So if you are a U.S. citizen, then you can file a fiance visa petition for your fiance. If you're a U.S. citizen and you have seen each other within the past 2 years and you have the intent to get married and you're both, not married to anyone else, generally speaking, a fiance visa is a good way to go. I wasn't recommending the fiance visa right after COVID because it was taking a really long time, but processing times are shorter, a lot shorter than they used to be. And so that could be a good option for you. If you're a US citizen and you want to just get married, that's another option as well. And you would go through the filing for your spouse after you get married, and then going through the National Visa Center process and the interview process. So hopefully that helps. A lot of questions.
A lot of questions. Come back next Monday, 8 o'clock, and we will do it all again. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
2 thumbs up. Thank you so much for your
Thanks for
amazing
joining us tonight.
questions. We'll see you next week.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.